Well, welcome to today's podcast. Today, my guest is Marissa Burgess. Marissa and I have worked together doing corporate gigs, but Marissa's had a very varied career path. Is that the right way to describe it?
I don't know, you're telling the story.
Well, let's start out. What got you into performing, and when was your earliest memory of performing?
My earliest memory of performing. Let's go back to the day I was given a great big bow. It was majestic green with yellow polka dots, or yellow with green polka dots, doesn't matter. I was 5. I felt wonderful. Yes, that'll be my first memory of actual performance.
Okay.
It was the TikTok dance.
Oh, a dance, and it was a dance?
Yes. I had a little green and yellow dress and looked very Australian, actually. And the bow was everything. Performance, yes. I didn't perform before that. I don't have any memories of performing before that.
So putting a costume on was what created the...
I was like, this is my life.
You're still heavily into putting costumes on?
So much. So much. Might as well just mention the rock voice of the day after the gig.
I gigged last night and my voice is a little bit croaky, but Marissa's probably worked a little bit harder than me last night and her voice is very croaky.
I gigged sick, so it's a really naughty thing to do.
Yeah, so
but
vocal
anyway.
folds are a bit swollen.
Yeah. I don't usually run up and do interviews day after.
No.
But here we are.
Yeah.
Back to the costumes.
Well, I guess the whole point of the podcast is to try and give the reality of life, reality of a gigging musician.
Exactly. That's something we touched on before. I said it'd be a bit rough, Scotty, and you said that's okay.
That's okay. And you were quite willing to expose...
the raw side of it.
The raw side, yes.
The rock and roll lifestyle that we love and adore.
Okay, so you were 5.
Yeah.
You put on a costume and it's performing. So you'd been doing ballet?
I would have been at the Civic Theatre, dear. So yeah, I started in ballet. My mum, we come from rural background. So we're Indigenous to the New England area, which is called Anawan country. And my mum was brought up in Sydney because she had a disability and she needed taking care of. So she lived a city life. Unlike her siblings, she was a city slicker. She lived in Manly. She was taken to theatres and she was the face of the publicity for the hospital that she was being brought up in. And she was in touch with all of this stuff, you know. So when we came along, she wanted us to have everything, you know, everything like that. And also she wanted us to have beautiful posture and be very elegant in life and be graceful. And she accidentally happened upon the greatest ballet school in Australia, down the road from where we lived.
Oh, wow.
In Hamilton, New Lambton, excuse me. It's near Hamilton, in Newcastle. Mm-hmm. And she tells this story, it's part of the great story. She stuck her head and she said, I've got these 2 little girls, my sister and myself. And then she mentioned sort of as she was leaving, do you have anybody ever, you know, get a job with this ballet? Do they? Do they? They had famous ballerinas dotted all around the world. 3 of the Australian ballet directors were from that school. Countless principal dancers from that. So we were in the ballet school. Yeah.
Just in the right place at the right time?
I just wanted the big bow.
So you've done the big first performance at 5, and did the ballet continue on for quite some time?
Oh boy, did it continue on. It is hard, it is grueling, it is boring. And the family were very much, you start something, you finish it. I did have a moment, you're going to laugh at this, where I went, I've had enough. They won't give me a tutu because you had to earn a tutu.
Oh.
Yeah, it was not something they just gave you.
Mm-hmm.
You would wear little cute dresses and balletic things, but a tutu, you had to earn it. And I wasn't getting a tutu offering. and I was getting upset and fidgety about this. So I did my first diva spat, and I left. I said, I'm leaving. And so my father said to me, well, what are you going to do? And I said, nothing, I'm not going to do anything. He said, no, that's not going to happen. What are you going to do? Oh, I'm going to go to the mall with my friends. That's not happening either. Pick something. What are you doing? Oh, Dad, it's so boring. Okay, I'll do guitar. I did guitar for 1 year. I failed miserably. I got a C.
No.
A C in my first guitar examination. I put some demands on the dance school. I said, I'll come back if I can have a tutu. And they gave me one.
Oh.
And I came back. And you compete, you know, you do the Eisteddfods. Mm-hmm. So I competed in my first Eisteddfod. And I could sense that I had done something bad. I had coerced the teacher into something that she wasn't ready to give me yet. Oh. It was a political thing already, you know. I was playing politics. I was 11. And the worst thing about it was all my colleagues, all my initial, when I was 5 colleagues that I grew up with, mm-hmm. in that year that I left and failed guitar, they had advanced, but into the stratosphere.
Wow.
And I came back and I saw my friends and I was like, that's going to be me. Yes, that'll be me tomorrow.
You hadn't done the work.
The work. I got put in the class with the ones that were the babies. When I left, I was devastated. Mm. And here the payment came out. I got bad flack from my teacher for pushing this tutu thing. I was in with the babies. I had to pass 2 exams in 1 year. And I got the message. So
was that motivational to work harder?
It was. It was like motivational to don't try and jump the gun, trust the process, and you'll get there. And I could see that I would get there because my friends were there already.
And it really kicked your butt to work hard?
It kicked my butt. And my sister, to this day, she still takes the mickey out of my guitar playing. I still have the guitar. It was a lovely Fender. But to my defence, the teacher was horrid. He just read the newspaper and didn't actually teach me anything.
Oh, wow.
I spent half an hour, one half an hour every Saturday watching him just read the newspaper.
Just a quick interruption to say thank you for watching the podcast. Please hit the subscribe button. It's very early days for us and we're trying to grow things and you can help. Please share, hit the subscribe button. It makes a massive difference. Thank you very much. To what age did you keep doing the ballet? And I'm unaware as to how much ballet played a part and to how long you spent doing it.
Ballet is everything.
Oh, okay.
Ballet is everything. I did the full 11 years.
Okay.
Sometimes I have surgeons who say, oh, you're a dancer? That's not a real job. Really, isn't it?
And I haven't heard that one before.
I had a heart specialist. Oh, you're a dancer? Yeah, that's not a real job. I said, oh, isn't it? I spent 11 years learning how to be a dancer. How long did you take to be a doctor, a specialist?
Yeah.
Oh, 8 years. And how much do you earn? Oh, no, that's right, he asked me. How much do you earn? I said, that's a very rude question. I'm not telling you that. And he said, well, I'll tell you how much I earn. And he told me. And then I just went, bah, ha, ha, ha. I'm doing better than you. Burn. So, so the ballet, I did it. I did it all. Mm. I didn't even do it all. I could have done more. I mean, you can keep going, right? But I never wanted to be a ballerina.
Oh.
At all. No. I didn't want to be a ballerina. I'd found out about the other thing.
Ah.
I'd found out about it when I was 11.
Mm-hmm.
My sister went to Paris.
How old is your sister? Older?
So she went at 17. I wasn't 11. So I was 12.
Okay.
When I was 12, I went to high school.
Yep.
She left high school and she went to Paris. Mm. And then 2 years later, we went to see her when I was 14. And then I signed my deal with myself. I wrote a contract and I signed it and I said, this is what you're doing with your life. And this is what you will do. And I said, okay. And I did.
So your
My
sister was
teacher
in
taught us.
Paris and she was performing...
At the Lido in Paris.
At the Lido.
Yeah.
Just a quick interruption to say thank you for watching the podcast. Please hit the subscribe button. It's very early days for us and we're trying to grow things and you can help. Please share, hit the subscribe button. It makes a massive difference. Thank you very much.
Very prestigious cabaret. And she was the principal dancer because the ballet,
Ah.
she'd also done it. And I saw something that was all about costumes. It was just costume heaven, and I was in heaven. And this was a place where the tall girls, because I was already tall at 14, I was this height. I'd already gone into geekland, and I was at the centre back for every dance of the groups, you know, and all the cute little ones were
Because
at
you
the
can't
front.
stand in front and block everyone else.
No, with my long legs. So I saw where the tall ballerinas go, and it was a saviour. You know, it's something to this day where all the tall dancers go, the ones that didn't want to be ballerinas.
Oh.
I didn't want the tutu. I wanted the prestige. I wanted the costume. And what I went to go for was prestige.
In Paris back then, there would have been, I mean, there's the Lido, which is very famous, and there's also the Moulin Rouge, which is very famous. But there, I would imagine there was quite a few other places as well.
It actually makes me want to cry just how many places got closed.
Yeah, because there was a lot.
A lot of closures. We are hanging by a thread in this industry. It's super sad. Very recently, the Lido shut,
Oh.
which for me is an absolute tragedy. For our industry, it's devastating, and we can't even believe it's true.
Because that would have had a very long history.
Moulin Rouge has got a long history, given that it's, 130 years old now.
Wow.
Or 33 or whatever. Who's counting?
Mm.
The Lido started just after the war, so it was about, 70 years old or something. That the Lido doesn't exist anymore, I'm in denial. I just can't believe it. I just keep hoping that someone will come back and save, like a saviour, and put it back together again the way we know it. Because, as I said, it's the reason I started out. I saw this. I actually saw an artwork of the famous designer who did all the artwork for all the posters. And that one design, that one artwork that was on just a pamphlet, it was enough to hook me forever.
Wow.
And still continuing. That photograph of that, his name was Gruel, hard to say.
Yes.
René Gruel.
Wow.
If you want to say it in English, it's René Gruel. And he did all the famous artwork for the Moulin Rouge, Lido, all the great cabarets, and Dior and Saint Laurent and all the fashion, the couture. So this artwork was just so, I can't go on. I got to meet the man.
Oh.
When I was later in life. He was kind of like my messiah. And I was groveling. I said to him, Monsieur Gruel, you don't understand. Let me get this right. I said, the reason I am today what I am is because of you. I have to thank you for everything that I am. And he said, au contraire, mademoiselle, it is you that I thank. I have you to thank for inspiring me. Okay. Me and my type. I'm not taking that for me,
Not
verbatim for me, but
yeah.
I'll take it. So I got that moment where I, full circle, got to thank the man himself. I saw the Folies Bergère, which is arguably the greatest brand name of all time in cabaret. It's greater than the Moulin Rouge.
Oh.
Yeah, Folies Bergère is the biggest name. It was taken to Hollywood. All of the famous
Follies.
movies, the Follies.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we say the Follies, that's what we're talking about, the Folies Bergère. Casino de Paris. Bal Tabarin, Crazy Horse is still alive, thank goodness. Alcazar, there was lots of them. The area, I'm going to get a history lesson now. The area in Paris where all these theatres, all these cabarets are situated as the 9th arrondissement and the 18th arrondissement. And it was considered in the olden days when it all started up, the chic suburbs. Mm-hmm. Because the Moulin Rouge was already out of town. It was in the fields.
It's out towards Montmartre.
Yeah, it was there was a church and there were vineyards and industry, and that's why they needed windmills to run all these.
Because it's famous with the Moulin Rouge is the big windmill.
Yeah,
yeah.
Which oddly was never actually a functioning windmill. It's merely a gimmick.
Yeah.
Which is great, but there were dotted windmills everywhere. So if you can imagine, in any given city, your high-end real estate's sort of towards the countryside. This is where all your grand houses are and near the fields. So that's how it was. So there were all the elite and the wealthy, and not the monarchs, because there were no monarchs, but the upper crust were living in the 9th. And this is where all these theatres started popping up because they wanted something to do. And then the Moulin Rouge was at the back of town. Ooh, naughty. Let's take your business out of town. That's the vibe. And how many times have you seen that even up to now? Theatre grows in the strangest of places.
Yeah.
Usually a little bit hush-hush and put away.
Yeah, and well, it's interesting drawing a parallel or that when you see the famous Aussie movie with the blokes dressed in drag going through the outback.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Great
Outback
parallel.
towns probably are more supportive of arts than capital cities can be.
And you can let your hair down and no one's going to say anything.
Yeah.
Las Vegas.
Mm.
The greatest hick town in the world.
Wow.
Yeah. So so all of those cabarets are closed, except the Moulin Rouge and the Crazy Horse, which is a burlesque. It's burlesque. It's different. It's a different kettle of fish, but it survived.
Because the Moulin Rouge, I guess everyone thinks about Moulin Rouge being the most famous part, the can and the girls doing but it's way more than that.
Yeah,
it's way more than that.
The can is so significant because it was a cultural event, and the music itself was the pop music of the time. It was Offenbach. It was considered a hit, and it was from a light opera. It wasn't anything too serious. So if you consider the operas being the serious stuff, and then they'd have the lyrical opera and the light operas, and that was a song from it, which the name escapes me right now. Sorry. So here were these feminists. Really?
Mm.
Yeah. It wasn't invented in the 70s. It was invented in the 1870s. So here were these independent, working, free women who decided to take their enterprise down to the Moulin Rouge and start something up, get entrepreneurial with it, have brands.
And have control over their own destiny.
Yeah. And they were washerwomen by day, because you got to have a day job. And by night, they were queens of nightlife. And they took on their branding names, and everyone had their own little tag. La Goulue, or La Sauterelle, the cricket, or the glutton. Very kind of great. There was lots of them. And it was fashionable to be English in those days. Mm-hmm. I don't know why, the British Empire probably. So a lot of them took English names.
Okay.
Jane Avril. And they just went down there and did their own sort of version of what we know today to be the can in a square dance formation. And the rich men and women from the 9th came up the hill, up the White Hill. The White Hill because what they were doing, they were quarrying white stones to build the white church on the hill. So it's the White Street, and up they came to the Red Windmill, and let their hair down, mingled across the social divide. Everyone, the artist is queen. It was all about the women.
It is very glamorous.
Yeah, it wasn't really glamorous in those days. It was pretty guttural and messy.
Oh.
Yeah, it was wild. I mean, people were lifting their skirts up, and they may or may not have had knickers on, and and as we know, like the culottes that they would wear, the ladies in those days, were crotchless,
Oh.
because
Oh, I didn't know that.
toileting,
Oh. Okay.
that's not a dirty word.
No.
But the long dresses, the culottes.
I didn't know that was the case.
It was all very tantalising.
Yeah?
Yeah. So those lords and those men and those women as well got to see these liberated females lifting their legs in the air, screaming like slaughtered pigs, because that's what it sounds like. And famously, the Goulou, who was the most famous one, who Toulouse-Lautrec painted a lot, the redhead, who was a lesbian, by the way, just for the sake of dropping that in there. And she said to King Charles, King George, he'd come over from England. Yeah, it was King Charles. It was the old King Charles. Hey, Charles, she goes, and the champagne's on you. You know, so she's pulling rank. She's talking directly to a monarch of the British Empire. And he starts giving people champagne. So that's where that whole thing about dancers and champagne comes from. Are there diamonds in your champagne glass? You know, the diamonds is just a notion that the champagne has come from the monarch. So there might be a diamond. It's not real, it's just the idea. Yeah.
Okay.
History lessons by Marissa. I hope it's more fun than a history lesson.
No, it's interesting. I'm learning things that I didn't know. That's good. 14, you see your sister dance, and I'd imagine you go back home to Australia. What happens when you get back home, and how does that lead you onto going back to Paris, because that's where you end up for quite a long part of your life?
Yeah, well, I put my head down, I did the work. I shut up, and I swallowed the little humble pill, and I did what I was supposed to be doing all along, which is the work. And when you get to be a gangly 14-year-old with all legs, looking like a flamingo, and you've got the little ones who are strong and they're doing all these tricks, it's embarrassing, it's hard, because you can't physically do what a more sort of sturdy, smaller girl can do. It takes time, and you have to have faith in the process. And so, and I did, and I got there. I became a strong dancer, a very strong dancer. A lot of people like to compare me to a thoroughbred and not a pack horse, which I think is a delightful comparison when I want to do strong things. So I was always sort of a bit of a Vila, but I had enough strength to be considered for principal roles as soon as I started at the Moulin Rouge.
How old were you when you went back to...
I cut my teeth down in Tassie.
Oh, okay.
Yes. There was a nice little stint going on in Tassie. Is my voice going okay, seriously?
Yeah, no, it's going great.
Because...
You're killing it.
I'm a little cold and... Anyway, thank you. Down in Tassie, there was an ex-Lido dancer from the 60s who'd come back and he'd put together a troupe, an Australian dancer, of course, because we make really good dancers in Australia. And he was a ballet dancer who did really well in Paris. He was their principal boy for years. He did adagio, you know, where you lift the girl up and throw her around. And he came back and formed a troupe. And so I got work with him at 16.
Oh.
There was that great day. Oh, that great day when you get to go to school and tell everyone that you're leaving because you got a job as a dancer.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it was such a good day. The teacher said, open your textbooks, page 33 or whatever. And I said, sir, I don't need to. I have a job. I'm leaving. It was so good. And all the people looked at me, all the kids at school, and what's she talking about? So I was just going around the classroom saying goodbye to everybody, giving back my textbooks. So good. I don't know, I was that bullied kid. I was a terribly bullied kid.
Okay.
Oh yeah, terribly bullied at school. So it was my big revenge moment. Westfall's End, come on, Newcastle.
Yeah, it's
rough as guts.
I remember the Newcastle song.
What's the Newcastle song?
Do you remember? It was, I can't remember the name of the artist. Anyway, so yeah, that's...
Yeah, the rack-off normally was very much the milk bar is the milk bar I used to go to. You know, and my Hells Angel.
Rack off, normally you and your mates.
You and your mates. That was very much my upbringing.
Ah.
So I had this double upbringing. I had Bogan, Newcastle, West Wall's End, the worst of the worst, I used to wonder why I was not put into a nice school, in a nice place with nice people. And yet there I was, being bullied, being a little prima donna. I just used to put my head down and hope nobody would look at me.
And I guess being tall made you stand out.
Yeah, they knew I did ballet. I had a horrible moment that day that I came back to ballet and I saw my friends. There was a girl there that I didn't know, and the next day at school, I was hiding, very much hiding that I went back to ballet. No one must know about this. It has to be a secret for life, because you've got to be cool, you know, fit in. And this gorgeous little girl, an Italian girl, she was in the queue there in the lunch in the canteen, and she saw me and she went, "Oh, hey, I saw you at ballet yesterday. I'm Alina. You saw me?" And the whole I felt like no, probably don't give a shit. The whole canteen looked at me and go, "Oh, you get a ballet," and I got that, and that was it. So that's how I started high school.
Wow. So to do ballet was frowned upon?
Oh, the ultimate shame.
Really?
You're up yourself.
Oh.
You think you're good because you do ballet. Yeah.
Wow.
It was never ending. Once I had my, you know, the yellow backpack, you know, the canvas one that we all had? You'd write your name on it and who you're going with on it and text her. And then you'd cross it out and write another one.
Who you going with?
Who you going with? Boys wouldn't touch me, wouldn't go near me. I was ballerina. Although I think some of them thought about the flexibility.
Were there any boys doing ballet? Because I imagine that would have been very rare.
Heavens no.
Because some boys do ballet.
Not in my school. We had sporting stars, yeah. We had
Okay.
swimmers and athletes. I'd have to go from school straight to ballet and do very serious lessons straight afterwards. So I would fold up all of my ballet tights, very flat, and my shoes very flat, and my leotard, I'd wear it under my uniform, and all these things, my hairpins, all in the bottom of that backpack. And then I'd put all my textbooks on top of it. Well, one day on the bus getting bullied as usual, cool girls up the back come and get my backpack. And they take it up the back and they start deconstructing it. They pull everything out. And they get to the bottom. What do they find? All the ballet paraphernalia. It was like this dirty ballet girl. And they start pegging my $80, because they cost $80 at the time.
And that would have been expensive.
Very expensive point shoes. They start throwing them, pegging them around the bus. And I was just like, one day I'll have my day. I said, they cost money, give them back. Yeah, up yourself. Why do you walk like you've got a pole up your bum? Why do you walk with your feet like that? It was non-stop, it was all the time. And my sister left, she was the cool one. And she left me there and I had to deal with it. So the day I left, you can imagine my victory. Yeah.
So you're down in Tassie?
Had a great time. It was free. Earning money, I got $200 a week.
And first time left home?
Yes, food and board.
Okay.
$200 a week. I was the absolute Scrooge of the whole company.
And so how many people in the company? So you're
only
and people your own and girls your own age?
two of us from the ballet. We went together, and the rest were sort of older girls. You know,
Were they
30?
Did they 30? Were they good to you?
They were a little little Missy Australia bit. Gonna say, it was freedom. We were free.
Yeah.
It was great. It was definitely me knowing exactly that I'd chosen the right thing. I worked very hard, and I wanted to be good, and I wanted to be noticed. But I was just a dancer, and so there were 4 dancers, 4 of the topless girls, one of whom was the principal, and 4 boys. Yeah. Mm-hmm. One was from Newcastle.
Oh.
Yeah, he was a tapper. And he later went on to do tap dogs and things like this. Oh. Still a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a great company, great cast. We had a lot of parties, a lot of fun. Went wild, did everything a 16-year-olds do when let loose. And then I left, all my money saved, all my $200 a week. My first thing I bought was a boom box, very important,
Yes.
music. Next thing was a camera,
Yes.
very important thing to have. And the next thing was a spiral perm. So my long, long hair went up to here and went zzz. And that's all the money I spent. The rest I saved. And as soon as I finished that contract, I had already saved all the money. The big fear was that I was going to have to go back to school.
Oh.
It was like the fear of death that was put into me. If you don't make good, you'll have to go back to school. Oh, God, the idea of it, perish the thought. And do my HSC, because I didn't do my HSC. So I came back to Newcastle and I started doing a few promos, you know, as 16-year-olds do, vodka promos in clubs. Shorts up to here, tops down to here. That's how we did things in those days.
Page 3 girl type sort of stuff.
Page 3 stuff, I did a couple of them, holding surfboards. Surf Fest was on in Newcastle. All the famous surfers came, we did that. Coca-Cola girl. But then time was ticking by and the threat of school was coming. Unfortunately, my sister rang me up and she said, buy a ticket, you're coming here now. And I complained about it for some reason. I was like, oh, I can't. Now. All right. Bought the ticket, jumped on the plane, went there. I had a private audition set up, got the job. It was painfully easy, absolutely nailed it. And I knew I would. I was very cocky, confident. I had the ballet. It gave me great confidence. All that hard stuff I went through, I got through it because I knew I was very good at what I did. Although we never almost dared think that out loud. You know, like our teacher had just one currency and that was humility. You know, even doing this interview, I've just always got her in the back here going, don't think you're any good at anything, darling. You're not there yet. There's still work to do. That's always there, that woman nagging. She was tough. She was really, really tough. But so I breezed through it and got a contract.
Where did you get a contract at?
At the Moulin Rouge, sorry.
At the Moulin Rouge?
Did I forget to mention that? Oh, because I'm the short staff of the family. 5'7", teeny tiny. My sister's taller. I'm the shortest person in my entire mob.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So very tall people.
Very tall people.
Wow.
6-footers. All the girls are 6 foot.
Wow.
Yeah, including my niece. Yeah, I'm 5'7". We do all these line-up photographs in my family. You know, tallest to shortest, not oldest to youngest, shortest to tallest, and I'm always at the end.
Well, you get to stand in front now. Because tall people at the back.
I can stand in front now. True, and I do. Yeah. So I was never really tall, even for cabaret circumstances, because at the Lido everyone had to be over 5'9", minimum.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, they got 6'2", 6'3", 6'4". Wow. Before heels.
So the height thing in doing that was it was a thing?
Absolutely a thing.
Yeah.
This is where the tall ballerinas go. My sister was nailing it. I came in hot, like I knew I'd already had a year and good training on that show that I did. I did the audition with my boss, which consisted of just a couple of things. And then she said, and I need to see your boobs. And I went, oh, okay. So we went in a little place and I went flash and she was like, okay, very good. And here's your contract. And that was the audition. But she said, oh, just go and tack yourself onto, the principals are all in. Tack yourself on the back and just dance there. I've got the things to do. And so she went away for an hour and I thought, and I couldn't pick up the style. It was very different. Ballet to jazz I'd done a lot of jazz, but I couldn't pick up this Moulin Rouge style. And I was really struggling just to find what they were doing. And they had their own flair and everyone was very different one from another. And I thought, what's the step? You know, I was really stressing about it. And I thought, she's watching me from somewhere. I failed. So as much as I was confident I did the first bit right, this second bit was a bit scary. And after a while, she came down. She said, oh, come down. You don't need to do that anymore. And so she just signed me up, and that was that. Yeah, so I started, I thought, on a can-can contract, which is a covered line. And we talk about covered and topless and principals who are topless. Yes. And it's echelon, yeah? So it's like a hierarchy. And you go up in ranking. So then I came in to do my can-can rehearsals, and I did 1 day, 2 days, and I was dying. I was actually gonna, I'm dying. My legs are going to break. Oh. And I was a pretty strong dancer, but I was thinking, I don't think I can do this. And I was copping heat from the choreographer, yelling at me, and I was like, God, I don't know if I can do this. I'm in pain, I'm in so much pain. And then on the third day, and the boss, she came in, she's like, what are you doing on the stage? You're not can-can, you're topless. And I was like, God, thank you, God, thank you. So I'm the only person in a long history, as far as I know, that never did the can-can.
Oh.
At the Moulin Rouge.
You got to go at the next level up.
Which gave me direct access to being principal understudy.
Obviously, like you were saying, there's a hierarchy and you've worked your way up. At what point along this path did you start singing?
Start singing, yeah. Okay, so I did the line, I did understudy for principal roles, I got mate principal a little while afterwards, and there I was with my dream job at 20. Nowhere to go. Mm-hmm. No way further up. I'm it. Great. I was doing a lot of modelling prior to that, and there was a lot of work, dancing at night, modelling by day. A lot of work. Didn't sleep at all. You know, when you're young, you just don't sleep, and then you get sick, and then you do it again. So I wanted to make a lot of money. I heard that there was big money to be made, and so I would work at night and work at day. And this way we're getting a lot of money at one time. And as I tell everyone, you know, when you're 18, you must be making the biggest money you'll ever make. That's your time. And that was our time. But I was getting to the point where I was killing my health with this double job. So I really wanted that main job so that I had just one job, the best job, the best money. So that was my aim. I also tried doing Adagio, which was another angle. But that didn't work for me because I was just not physically beefy enough for that toll that Adagio is. It's like being battered every day. And I just was like, no, it's too hard. Principal dancer, that's for me. So once I got the job, I was a little bit like, what do I do? What do I do now? I've always wanted to be a singer. I've always liked singing. I was singing lessons. In the 16-year-old contract, I discovered Whitney Houston's First of All, so that was her album that year. Mm-hmm. And so I would just holler in the dressing room. I just thought I had permission to holler in the dressing room until my best friend one day, about 9 months in, she just broke down in tears. She's like, Marissa, just shut up. Just shut up. I can't take it anymore. Been listening to you sing for 9 months, so just shut up. I was like, oh no. I'm so sorry, I didn't know I was so annoying. So I learnt to not sing at my friends all the time because it was annoying to people. So I took myself to singing lessons. Yeah.
So this is in Paris doing singing lessons?
Yeah.
I guess the other question that I had, obviously your ability to negotiate the language is very good.
Yeah.
You speak French very well.
When you're young, it's easier.
Had you had any French lessons before you went to Paris, or was that something that you had to pick up really quick once you got there?
Okay, here's a question for you. What language is music in?
The language of music.
What's the actual language there? What's all those words on the dotted lines?
Italian.
Exactly. Music is Italian.
Okay.
But so music's Italian, and I was trained in music from 5 all the way through.
Okay.
I think I did. My mum taught me piano.
Oh.
I was all right at that.
Oh, okay. So you went and decided I'm going to play guitar, but you could have been doing piano lessons.
Yeah, I was doing piano lessons, but we'd fight, you know. So I just started training myself in the piano after a while, and I sort of managed to do better just by myself. But so she taught me the music, so I did fully my grades through in music as well. I remember one lady saying, "You're a very cultured little girl, aren't you?" I'm like, I suppose I am, really. But so music is Italian, ballet is French. And the music that we listen to is some of the most glorious classical music you can find. That's what I grew up with, this musical world. So I knew my notation and I knew my French terminology.
Okay.
All ballet was done in French. The woman sat at the chair and spoke our lessons. She never got up from behind a table.
Wow. So
She spoke our class.
So basically you've been hearing that from the age of 5.
But you don't really think about that until you get on the streets of Paris and they start talking at you. And you go, I can actually understand you. It's super weird. But knowing that I was going to Paris, as I made my pact with myself, very young, I learned French at school.
Oh.
And I got a really high score in French at school. So as soon as I hit the floor there in Paris, on those cobblestones, I was talking French. Couldn't understand a thing anyone said back to me, unfortunately, because then the reality hits. I don't understand you yet. It came quickly.
It is amazing when you immerse yourself in a foreign country, how quickly you do pick up language.
Yeah. And I'm a communicator. I'm a Gemini and I like to talk. And I didn't mind making all the mistakes and blunders. And I'd just go up to my dresser and say, how do you say this? How do you say this? And they were bilingual. And I just pushed it through. But I remember the click when it came. I remember seeing my sister on the streets of Paris, and she was doing really well in French. And I was about 14, as I said, and she had to go and ask for something. And she asked her boyfriend at the time, how do I say this? And he just went blah, 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 blah. And she went, okay. And she just went over and said blah, 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 blah. And I went, oh, that is good. Oh, that's well good. Oh, I want to do that. And I just thought it was so sophisticated to be able to just flip language like that. And these were my ambitions, you know. And I'd been around German a lot, and I'd picked up, and I did German at school too. So I was doing quite well at German, and I had a lot of opportunity to speak German. And when you're 18, you've got the best time in your life to learn a language. And it just came. Yeah. Yeah. And then I picked up Italian too, because I married one of them.
You got an opportunity to sing. You've gone to lessons.
Yeah,
I would imagine you got an opportunity to sing at the Moulin Rouge.
Not at all.
Not at all.
No. They don't do live. They have never done live.
Haven't they?
I tell a lie. They did do live. So when I was...
Because I thought I saw some footage of you doing...
Oh, yeah, it's all
singing.
Fake. It's all lip-synced.
Oh, it's lip-synced.
Yeah.
Oh.
It has to be by nature of the show and the nudity and where do you put battery packs and stuff.
I guess, yes.
But no, the singer before me, that she was the star of the show when I entered, she was an American singer, and she sang live when she wanted to.
Oh.
Yeah. But the room's not set up. It's a historical room. The theatre itself, it's very important that the historical decoration stays intact. You know, it's a classified building and whatnot. So they can't really set the sound up as you would. You can't just stick a sound box in the middle of that.
There's a parts where you go up, it's like a...
You've been there?
Over the audience. Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, the pool...
The pool
in the middle, and the ice skating and the...
Ice skating was at the Lido.
Oh, ice skating. So what?
So you saw that
roller
too?
skating. They had roller skating.
Oh, yeah, right.
They had roller skating. They had the pool with the snakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was an amazing experience.
Yeah.
It was great to be able to... If you ever get the chance to go to Paris, you have to go and do the Moulin Rouge.
to.
It's just...
It's the second most visited place after the Eiffel Tower.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing show.
It's the data on it, yeah. So no,
acrobatics.
Everything.
Everything.
It's a variety show.
Yeah.
For one and all.
It is.
With boobs.
It is.
Boobs included.
Boobs included.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt, does it? No, but you can't really set... Yeah, so the sound was always an issue. And Deb's, the singer, she would try to get them to be more proactive about this, but priority just wasn't there. So, yeah, the sound guy is in this whole other place. He's just up a staircase and around the back and works from cameras. Yeah, it's so. Come when we got made singer, we were given the greatest voices that there are to sing to. The people who dub the movies.
Oh.
Who dubbed the Disney movies in
Okay.
French. So
Yeah.
Ariel and all that, these voices were our voices. So they just, they have the budget of the music in the show is, I believe, 1/3 of the budget goes on music, which is significant.
It is quite significant.
Yeah. 1/3 is on the costumes and the rest is production and whatnot, scenery and things. And so the music, which you would have loved, is just, he's an award-winning composer.
Yeah.
And he's my friend. He's adorable. And Philharmonic Orchestra records that. Best Voices in France record that. And then they give it to you. And you lip sync the blazes out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember in the last years that I was there, I'd already done all my training. I started training, I think I was about 25 all the way through. And the two girls that were with me, you might remember the three, the blonde, the brunette, the redhead, and they were all singers. They'd be musical theatre type girls and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And we're on stage, because when you lip sync, you have to sing full out. And if you're a singer, it helps.
Yes.
Because you do all your mouth placings right. And so there we were, us three girls who were all singers, and we're together on the stage up the back singing the crap out of these songs. And I was like, we're harmonising, and I was like, this sounds so good, like, give us the microphone, goddammit. Like, mic this up.
Yeah.
We're doing what they're doing. But it's simply not a priority. I had my day off, I had my holidays, they had their days off, they had their holidays. In and out, I had 5 replacements. Everyone's flipping, changing all the time. You can't, it's a big machine. Mm. Yeah,
And they have to have consistency.
They call it the singers, and we'd have those American tourists that come, oh my God, you were such good dancers for singers. Oh my goodness. You go on believing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did a good job of the lip syncing, but no, they used to have an orchestra, and it was a full orchestra. When we did the centenary in 1989, we had a gala event, and our band was took off the balcony, put them on stage, and they backed up everybody that came. So we worked with Ray Charles, Ella Fitzgerald. There was Barbara Hendricks, the opera singer. There was...
Dean Martin.
No, the other one.
Jerry Lewis.
Yeah, Jerry Lewis.
The other one.
Anyway, yeah, Lauren Bacall. All these great big stars were there. Charles Aznavour, and so the band would play for them, and they finally dwindled that band down, just to the drummer and some effects, and we lost that capability, and so all the technology crept in, and things started to go. There's always been a house band, but there was no incentive to sing live. It was never going to happen. Mm. And I even auditioned for my boss, and he listened to me, and I was just at the start of my singing lessons. And he knew that I wanted to sing, but it was just never going to be yes. So I wanted to sing. Mm. It's my retirement scheme.
When did the singing come about?
Well, when I left, so I got an opportunity to come here. This is why I live here, to Jupiter's, to Star Casino. And a producer that was putting the show on at the time. Now, my sister had left Paris and come here, and I seemed to follow my sister around. She goes to school, I go to school. She goes to Paris, I go to Paris. She goes to Gold Coast, I go to Gold Coast.
She set things up for you, so when you get there,
it's all... She set it all
up
for me, I have to be so thankful.
Yeah.
And that's the fact of the matter, is that I followed her around. And so I knew what was going on here. I'd come back to Australia all the time, watch the shows, really nice shows, live singing, bands, loved it, We'd go out at night, we'd go to bands, and probably saw you, who knows?
Maybe.
In the time. So I'm learning my voice. I was with a lyrical opera teacher, But he was good at teaching musical theatre or any type of singing. He said, there's only one way to sing the right way. And he was great. And then I just needed to start making some ends. And my big dream, Scott Watman, my big dream, other than being a showgirl in Paris, my big dream was to be a rock singer. That was the Bogan Westwall Zen girl's dream.
Covering both sides of that Gemini personality.
Boom! Sitting right there, straddling that. Yes, that's what I wanted to do.
So you would have sung at Jupiter's with Tony Lee Scott?
Oh, before him.
Oh, before him?
Yeah.
So he came along
I'm
afterwards?
that old.
Oh, come on.
2003.
Okay, 2003. I would have been doing the Sugar Shack.
Okay, yeah, the Sugar Shack. I remember this.
We would have had a residency there
Yeah.
with Brooke and Wazza.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, they were good days.
Good days.
Really good days.
So my sister was here doing this, and I always knew what was going on here. Because all the Australians in Paris, you know about that. All the Australian girls at the Moulin Rouge. So we're all going back and forth.
It's always been.
It's
has
been
it always
there
been?
since. Did I not mention my boss was an Australian?
They audition people from out here to go over. Is that true?
My sister just sent over, or there'd be scouting people here in Australia. Mm-hmm. My ballet teacher was the scout.
Oh.
Yeah, handy.
Well, that's helpful.
Yeah. Train them up, send them off. The taller ones go to Paris. Yeah, and become showgirls. That's how my sister Karina got the job, through the scout. And so we'd be back and forth. Oh, you're doing Jupiter's this year. Yeah, are you? What are you doing? And I was sitting there pretty in my nice position, and I'd watch people come and go. And I used to get bored, I wanted to do something else. I was working in Italy on TV. Musical theatre was calling my name, like I was singing by now. Wanted to do a ton. I wanted to do everything, But I was there on the treadmill, doing the same thing every night.
Whereabouts in this time frame of things did you meet your husband?
Oh, right at the beginning.
Right at the beginning?
Yeah.
So you're just dragging him along for the ride? Poor man.
The man was...
He's such a lovely man too. He's a very, very talented man.
So Ben is a big deal.
He is a big deal.
I get very discouraged. I put my videos on YouTube, got my channel, put my stuff up. And then I made a channel for him, put his stuff up too. He's an acrobat, 7th generation circus. And he had the longest running contract ever at the Moulin Rouge, 14 years. 7 years with one act, 7 years with the other act. And what they did, nobody does anymore. Because you've got to be a little bit stupid. It's just too hard. It's too hard.
Yeah,
no one wants to do hard things. They want it easy. So I put his videos on the YouTube, and then I go back some years later, like, oh my God, you've gone viral. You're so famous on the internet. Like you've broken it. His video clips are just going viral. And meanwhile mine are, jogging along. So yeah, he's a big deal.
Well, he's still coaching people to do it.
He's been coaching since he couldn't do it anymore. Obviously, acrobats are...
It's very hard on the body.
Yeah,
and he's my
so
vintage.
we worked side. We'd come to work, he'd go his way, I'd go my way, he'd do his act, I'd do my bit. And that's what we were doing. So we got to work together in the same place.
How did you convince him that you wanted to come back to Australia?
Oh, we loved it here. We always wanted to come back and wanted something to do, and I wanted to sing, I wanted to sing. I kept saying it, like manifesting this. I want to be a singer. My stage hands and my mates backstage, they were in bands and stuff. Like, oh, can I be your backing singer? Yeah, you can be my backing singer. So I started out being a backing singer in a band, in a rock band. Yeah. The dude, he does Rolling Stones tribute in France.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's the Rolling Stones tribute guy. He's very good. And so, but they were doing original music, and we'd go and record that, and I'd be the backing girl. And so I was cutting my teeth, in the dungy caves of Paris and the underground, dirty, musty-smelling recording areas, because it's difficult in Paris to find anywhere to yell and be loud. Not like here.
Paris is a strange place. Like cafes where people take their dogs and the dog sits on the seat beside you. But they're very open in some ways, but very strict in others.
Yes, they are. Well, rock music, I always grabbed any opportunity. Sometimes you'd You'd meet producers. So I met a producer or two. We laid down a track. Oh, it's going to be the hit. It's going to be the summer hit. You're going to see it. You're going to be the star next summer. And, you do the thing. You go along with it. You go, I'll give it a try. But I got to lose, And that never happened because it really does, right? But I'd have all these nice sort of recording experiences and then band. And so finally, that was in the latter part of my stay at Paris. I was in this band and I loved it. Oh, like, yes, I want to do this. I really want to do this. I used to hear, who's the next producer of the new show in Jupiter's? And I'd always know. And then one night, this guy came to see the show. And he came actually to ask me a question about things that he wanted to do in the Australian show and how I might help him. Mm-hmm. Because of the contacts I had. Was actually my sister's husband at the time. So we meet like this. Oh, can I meet you? Yeah, I just want to talk about the thing, the ice, and I want to put the ice in. And he said that he watched the show and he said, no, it was between shows. He said, I'm the producer of the new show, right? I don't know who you are. I know perfectly well who you are. He's like, yeah. And he said, you've never been interested in doing something like that? I'm like, I'm open and interested in everything. And that's all I said. Because that Moulin Rouge got ears everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't put my toe out of line. I couldn't go to auditions. Well, big auditions would come to Paris. I couldn't go to them.
Then there'd be the question about, well...
Is she leaving?
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't move sideways. I would have to walk past the audition line, hundreds and hundreds of people, and I'd walk past it, and they'd say, are you auditioning? No, I'm not auditioning. Walk past. I couldn't even go in.
I suppose then there would be lots of people just waiting to take your because you've got the best job.
So at one time I wanted to branch out and try something or even just have the experience of failing something, but I couldn't. I was very locked in. I remember going to New York to see Debbie, my friend, and she was on Broadway. She'd gone on to Broadway. She'd done West End. And she was my little sister, and she'd walk me around. My little sister. And she'd say, now that role, you could do that. You could do that role. You could do that role. Come backstage, I'll show you. See what she's doing? See how she put... That's the voice you want to be working on. And she'd do all this stuff backstage on Broadway shows. Big Broadway shows.
Yeah.
The kind that you don't see anymore, Broadway shows. And I would be yearning to try, but I remember being at JFK, leaving, and I picked up a copy of The Stage, and they were searching for 5 girls of that particular role that she said I would be good for. Mm. And I left. And I put it down and left, so... And my choreographer wanted me to go to Italy with him and be the star. And you become a household name overnight if you do that job. Mm. But it would mean I'd have to leave my husband and the Moulin Rouge. And so I had a very nice thing that I had my relationship and I had my work and I had the good job.
And was getting paid well.
Yeah, and so I watched people come and go and I was like, well, I hear good stories, I hear bad stories, and I know what this is. Anyway, the guy watched the show and then they met us at the back door and the producer said, would you like to do our new show? And I was like, that'd be really nice. She's like, well, we want you. I'm like, okay. Can we go for a drink, discuss it? Everything in England.
Yeah.
I was like, all right. Off we went. Signed a contract at the Australian pub. Oh, that's right. She said, can you sing? I said, yes. She said, can you tap? I said, no. She said, can you learn? All right. That's how it went.
Wow.
So that's how I got here.
Was there anything for Ben? So was that...
Yeah, so after that, he was like, well, we've got this world-class acrobat. Let's just put him in the show. Make a role for him. Boom, there it is.
Yeah.
So everywhere we went after that, because we came back, but we kept moving, we were together and, yeah, he'd make, etch out a role for himself and we could be together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's rare. I watch my girlfriends have difficult times with this type of stuff.
Yeah. Mm. Particularly at that level,
At that level, he was the best at his thing. I was the best at my thing. Now, to get it to come together in one place...
In one place.
It's a privilege.
Because there'd be places on Broadway and there'd be shows in Italy and and him being Italian, there would be, I would imagine, a strong pull for him to go back to Italy.
He was a circus boy. There wasn't a circus in this world he hasn't done. Mm. there was that point, an awkward point, where we were like, oh, well, what am I going to do in the circus? Like, I don't know.
You like dressing up. You could always be a clown.
I can laugh. What am I going to do, you know? And then fortunately I got this principal job and they were like, well, we better hang here. And he was fed up with sawdust by that time anyway. He was like the Michael Jackson of circus. He was that little kid. He was a child prodigy. Mm. So he'd done he signed his first contract at 9.
Wow.
Very seriously. Mm. And they said, well, usually we give the glass of whiskey with this. What do you want? He's like, I'll have a Coke on the rocks. So cute. So yeah, he was that kid, and the family depended on him. Mm. Yeah, he won what is known as the like the Oscar of circus. It's called the Silver Clown of Monte Carlo.
Okay.
He won that at 13.
Wow. Mm. At 13.
It's all on the videos and stuff. It's beautiful. We were able to be together, and so that helps a lot. Doing the show at Jupiter's, did that allow you to fulfill a little bit of that? Yeah, so it was my first singing contract. Mm-hmm. Here I am. There's a microphone. Now I'm singing. Great. That worked well. So meeting people, sound techs, different world. Yeah. It's a nice change. My singing partner was my best friend from Moulin Rouge. Oh. So he was here with me as well. And he lives here. We're still besties. And he, for example, Brett, he was with me at the Moulin Rouge, and then he left. And I was like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm going to be a singer on the cruises. Oh, really? Sounds fabulous. So you're going to be a singer? You're a singer? Like, yeah, I'm a singer. So he'd been here doing musical theatre in Sydney. So I was in a very, very small world, but I had little windows to the rest of the world. At 32, you're now singing and loving it. Yeah, but I'm retiring as well. It was my last hurrah. So retiring, in what respect? Retiring from being the showgirl. Retiring from being a showgirl. Yeah. But you didn't, though, because you still did. Well, after I left the Moulin, remember I said all the producers used to come and watch them? Well, they all started calling me up. And they said, we want you. I heard you're available. So I had this whole second career. Yeah. And I'm starting to live in Asia. Now I'm going to all these different Asian destinations that I would never have gone otherwise. And then I got asked to go back to Germany and bring a troupe of dancers with me. And I said, but I could be old, fat and wrinkled right now. You have no idea. You haven't seen me. It's before Facebook and everything. And they said, we trust you. Get some dancers and come over. You're the star of the show. Are you producing your own shows at this particular point, or are they putting the show? Is someone putting the show together for you? Yeah, being brought in as the star of the show with a girl gang, and just based purely on my reputation. The producer said, "Could you just put down a video of 'I Will Always Love You'? That's going to be the finale song." I was like, "Do me a favor? Yes, I can do that. Yeah. You're going to get me to sing 'I Will Always Love You'? My goddess, my Whitney, my everything. It's like, she's the reason I sing." Yeah. That album was put in my hands when I was 16 and I made that decision. If anyone can look that good and sound that good, because I wanted the look, I wanted the glamour and then the voice. Because before that, singers to me were like, that dressed classically and pretty, they were like Nana Mouskouri. That was a singer, a chanteuse. Nana Mouskouri and Cilla Black. These were the singers that I kind of grew up with. And then she comes along, couture supermodel, singing like that, and it just changed my world. Then I knew focus. So then when I got asked, finally now I'm a singer, I'm going to get asked to sing this song. What a gift. So I sent that off. And I did that contract and sang that song every night, which was delightful. You talked about earlier when you were younger how you worked your butt off and then you didn't get enough sleep and then after a while you would get sick. By this stage in your 30s, where looking after your health it becomes a much bigger priority, what sort of things do you do to maintain your ability to be able to perform? At 32, I was still running on, like I would just be pushing myself still. At that age, I still haven't gotten the wise thing yet. The things I put myself through on that contract, nobody even knows. I'd come from a place where you don't talk about your problems. It's very hush-hush. Remember there were all those girls waiting, lining up for my job, remember that?
Yeah.
You don't say anything. I worked through everything, and no one ever knew. And come to Australia was different, corporate vibe, which I'd never experienced, a corporate vibe. And people would be asking you questions about, are you limping? Oh, no, I just had a stone in my shoe. A jewel or something got in there. Oh, you sure you don't want to write down something on the notes? Oh, no, I'm fine. So when I did that contract, nobody even realises the deplorable health state I was in from a lifetime at the Moulin Rouge. A full career had already been done. And I got to this retirement thing. They're thinking I'm finishing up. Because remember, I was washed up and over. And that was going to be my last contract. So I just pushed through. I passed out in the toilets. Nobody in my shower fainted. You know, people have no idea because I just didn't tell anyone. And I'm the only person in the history of that venue who had never had a sick day.
Oh, wow. You probably should have, though, by the sounds of it.
It's terrible things I put myself through. But I ended up being the manager in that venue, and I was the company manager of the cast, and the stage manager, who's my dear friend, who's now working at Hotta in the same capacity. Sorry, she's the producer there now. She was going through the records because they were closing everything down, and she said, "Do you realise you're the only person that's never had a sick day in the entire history of this venue?" I was like, yeah, that was hard. That was a hard year. The injuries, the sickness, yeah. You got hair and makeup for that, right? Cover it up.
So even at 32, you're still pushing yourself. At what point do you realise that you've got to look after yourself? And what do you do these days to look after your health? To be able to, I mean, obviously you're pushing through with your voice, doing gigs, as am I.
I'm doing an interview.
But you do learn how to cope. You do learn how to cope when you're not at your best and get through, hopefully, without doing any serious damage.
Yeah, well, it's a repertoire, isn't it? It's like while you're building your show repertoire and your performance repertoire and your skills on stage repertoire, you're building this whole other secondary repertoire, which is how do I get on stage? How do I stay on stage? What do I need to do right now to get through this gig? And all of that stuff is like two things going ahead. So you're just building on that knowledge as you go along. I've always had a great team as far as physios and therapists, and I did go along every now and then. I go along to the ENT and he has a bit of a look, you know, puts the tube down there. He goes, well, for 15 years in rock, you're doing all right. You haven't busted these up yet. And I wish the same could be said of my body. Because, and then you start to morph and change and modify what you do to continue. So the appearance may look the same, or somewhat the same. It should look better, let's hope, that you're getting better at your craft. And behind, it's this adjusting mechanism. Maybe you've got a different type of doctor or a different type of physiotherapist. Maybe you go from physiotherapy to osteopathy or chiropractic or whatever it is. And singing teacher or vocal coach or all these team members that you invest money in because it's your industry. And you pay back to your industry by giving your money to these people who help you work. So there was not a week of my life I did not have some form of massage as a dancer, some form of treatment. And as a singer, I probably should do more in that regard. But I find it's the staying on stage and talking with your co-workers and having your team that help you get through little things or give you little tips. And or have you tried this, or there's a new technique, or and you try stuff out. And yeah, you get through it.
Do you find with singing that if you're doing it regularly, you get what I guess you call it stage fit.
Oh, hell yeah.
And if you take a break,
Goes.
it goes. Like you might, I know that it's that thing when I was doing 5 nights a week, you'd get to a point where you would get, you're fit, and 5 nights a week's not a problem.
Amazing, isn't it?
But if you take time out, I guess it's like being an athlete. It's you're working a muscle.
Exactly like being an athlete.
And if you take some time out, you'd come back, and on that first night, you'd be like, oh, this is amazing, all the range is there, and I can sing. But by the second night, you were like, it's all shutting down because you're not gig fit. If you're only doing 1 or 2 nights, do you find that you're having to sing on your nights off just to keep the mechanism working properly, or is that something that you?
I'm a little bit lazy in that regard. I have to say the gaps in between have never been a good idea for me. That's why I came here and I wanted to be in rock, and so I got that gig, and there were gigs every week, and I just knew that that's what's going to keep me gig fit. So if something would come along that would be maybe different, like I would have to go from doing covers to doing cabaret, or from covers to doing French, or all the other types of things that I do, then that would be the difficult thing. Oh, now I have to change my accent, and I have to sing in maybe a more lyrical way. So keeping those fitnesses up as well as the covers. And let's face it, and I think this is something that is not said enough, covers are really freaking hard. And rock and pop singers are incredible singers. And the fact that they're just palmed off as pop singers is like the biggest lie, the biggest myth there is. Because they're beasts. And they can perform and jig around at the same time and do concert after concert after concert. I saw Tina Turner run down that staircase, run across an 80-metre stage, in heels this big, at 56.
She's a phenomenal, she's just...
I mean, gig fit?
One of a kind.
This is who I'm aspiring to. I want to be gig fit like her.
Yeah.
Dancing it all off. I went to every Whitney concert. I went to Prince. I went to in Paris, you just had this big whiteboard at Virgin Megastore with everyone who's anybody all year round, and you could just go and see everything whenever you want. And I did. You know, we grew up, you and I, in Australia with the most hella incredible set of artists.
Yeah.
Known to rock music. I don't care if nobody knows it, we know it. I was surfing as a kid at Newcastle Beach, listening to Dragon, who were just haphazardly on a bandstand on the beach playing. This was the soundtrack to my childhood.
Yeah. The 80s here on the coast were phenomenal. I mean, I spent the very last couple of years of the 80s touring quite extensively and spending a lot of time in Sydney.
Which must have been incredible.
Oh, it was...
I don't know much about Sydney, but from what I hear.
It was starting to change even back then, but it was still incredible. Like we were working 6 nights a week. But it was also one of those things, I can remember the playroom here on the Gold Coast and the sign outside with the board, and there would be like, on any given weekend, there would be the Angels and Midnight Oil and then an international act. And that was just...
Something better.
4 or 5 nights a week, every week.
Yeah, they didn't even bother getting signage. That's how Hannah Street Mall was, the Hannah Street drag. I guess it was it seemed like it went on forever, but it was maybe a couple of kilometres of pubs. And they wouldn't even bother getting signs. Like, yeah, they'd just get the highlighter marker, you know, those pink in the 80s.
Yeah, it was the big...
It was the green and the pink and the highlighter was like
the fluoro,
cool.
big fluoro thing that stood out. Yeah.
So it'd be like the blackboard, which is just like at the top of the pub entrance, there'd be that long, thin blackboard or whatever it was. It'd be like, my sex, these dates in white.
Yeah.
And then the next pub, Angels, these dates in white. Next one, AC/DC, these dates in white.
I must have been 18 or 19 and saw Midnight Oil after they'd just had their first album. And it was amazing because they were so, and all of these bands were very unique and different.
Yeah.
And
Very
it was
different.
an amazing experience.
Yeah. We had Air Supply at our school concert.
Oh, wow.
It must have been so boring. They must have
It was
been
sort of funny. I was
maybe they were
talking with
doing
Louis
covers.
Shelton a little while ago, and Louis been on the podcast. Elvis came and played at his high school.
Of course he did.
I was like, and it's, I mean, but those sort of things happening in your life can be absolutely game-changing things to the way you see the world and
It's
the
so
way you...
accessible.
Yeah.
It's right there.
Yeah. It's like, I want to do that. Because it's such a big difference between that back then, seeing someone there in the room, whereas a lot of young people now don't necessarily get the opportunity to see
That level,
up front, up close.
that greatness.
Yeah. I mean, they see it online because everyone spends so much time online now but there is a big difference between watching a video and actually being in the same room with somebody performing.
Yeah.
It's a massive thing,
My
that
blue
live
light
performing.
disco. The blue light disco.
Yeah.
Dragon. And I'm at the front. What am I? 13? What am I, 14?
Wow.
Dragon. And these giant men, they seem to go on, they used to dress as goths, remember?
Yes.
With the coat
Long
to the
coat.
floor.
Yep.
And the and they were just there. I could touch, like,
And they-
we weren't going mad or anything, we were just like, wow.
And they had a career that spanned a couple of decades and great songs.
Oh, I
Great
mean,
songs.
Countdown was just, so nurturing.
So, I
But
mean, it
yeah,
was a very different time back then too,
it
where
was.
we didn't have mobile phones, we didn't have internet.
God, imagine if we had mobile phones.
Well,
The
and the
stuff
internet
that
and
we would have had to hide.
social media. They don't have the opportunity to make mistakes.
Yeah, not forgetting, I mean, even in Tassie, I don't know what was going on in Tassie, if something was going on crazy in Tassie, because they were coming over from the mainland on the Saturday, on the weekends. They just bring all of that good stuff to Tassie, and there'd be no times. Like, you'd have to move through 4 venues in one night to catch everything. You'd be finishing up at 6 a.m. every day.
Wow.
And start again. Like, you'd start out you wouldn't go out before midnight, obviously. How uncool to even show your face before midnight.
What are you doing next week? What's on your calendar of all of the varied things that you're doing? What gigs are you doing? What are you preparing for that's coming up?
All right, so I try to have a gig weekly, at least one, which keeps the gig fitness, the heels fitness, the eyelash fitness, and the identity fitness. And then every now and then I have a significant gig come up. And those significant gigs may be a cabaret show or a one-off presentation, or just a couple of weeks ago I modelled again.
Oh, wow.
I was a model for a day. Oh, it was lovely for Sonia Stradiotto. And she's so glamorous, and she wanted me to be her senior model. And it was wonderful. So just that, it reminded me about all the things you have to do as a model. So that's a gig of sorts. And then I do my one singing gig, which keeps me going. And then I'm preparing another gig, which might be a cabaret show, which might involve dancers or not. And I got invited, and the things just come up or not, and I try not to be freaking out when they don't come up. I try not to get that mental health craze thing that goes on when things don't come up, because after a while, something comes up.
Yeah.
And then I've got this hard, cold data in my head now, which says that it's going to be okay. I'm putting myself further and further into this I'm still standing niche.
Okay.
When I just have to let people know about that and something will come up. So last week, I went to Perth for Qantas. Mm-hmm. They rang me up and said, we need a French song or two, and we need to represent France, and we want a showgirl. So there you go. The showgirl fitness comes into play again. Out come the sequins, on go the feathers, the very biggest eyelashes. And I did a beautiful swanky gig there with all of the ministers and, and the CEO of Qantas, and they're going to turn that brand around and get it back going again. And there I was helping launch their new brand and their new flight to Paris.
That's right, because they're doing a direct flight to Paris now.
Direct flight to Paris, and so there I was, amongst all those fine people doing what I do, and every now and then a corporate comes up like that, something strange. I did the birthday of Harry Triggerbuff, High Rise Harry.
Yep.
That guy. Yeah, and I went to his table and they said, go to his table and schmooze him. I was like, all right. And there I'm walking through the tables. I don't know what he looks like, I remember. I don't even know what he looks like. He's very nondescript. And so I headed for his table, but I didn't find him. And then I saw a face. I thought, well, I know that face. I'll just go to that guy. And then as I walked up to him, I went, oh, crap, it's Prime Minister Howard. It didn't sit at first who he was. I just recognized him. I was like, oh, well, I'm bumsidizing you. Anyway, the table thought that was really funny. But I felt like you commit, Yeah. You're going in. You're the authority on this matter. You're the showgirl in the room. They all can just watch you do this. I rubbed his bald head and bumsidized him. Everyone felt about themselves. It was great. So I do that type of thing. But the big, do you want to, what do you call it?
An exclusive.
Do you want an exclusive?
I do. I'd love an exclusive.
You're going to get an exclusive, Scotty. My new show, my one-woman show, is coming out. It's in the pipelines. I'm working on it, getting a team together. And it's called, very modestly, Memoirs of a Diva.
Well, I'm very much looking forward to that.
So that's going to start to come out. And it's time. The expectation is that I do this now. Because while I was waiting around to be past it, I didn't go anywhere. I'm still here. And now everyone wants to know the stories. They say, when are you going to write your book? Oh, no.
That'd be an interesting...
Oh, no. I'm not writing any books. Oh, no. No, they'd have to... they'd come after me if I wrote the books.
Oh.
But I will do a show.
Too many secrets.
I'll sing a song or two about things.
Okay.
So one-woman show coming up.
Okay, that sounds
There you go.
great.
You're the only one that knows.
Oh, well.
Memoirs of a Diva.
Memoirs of a Diva. I'm very much looking forward to seeing that show. If you were going to talk to your younger self, your 16, 17-year-old self, what advice would you give to yourself, and what would you do differently now from if you were starting out now at that age? Would it look very similar, or what would be different about it?
I was too shy. I needed to be braver and braver. I see all the opportunities. I had a lot of opportunities, real opportunities. And I didn't take them. And I decided not to take them at the time because I was also evaluating the full length and breadth of what was going to be my career, but also because I was just scared and I didn't have enough faith in myself. Ballet is a funny place. You need it. Any classical form of training or any long, hard training that anyone's done, whether it be sport or you doing all that work you did, you kind of have to break something in order to obtain the new version. And it's a shame because in the breaking of that person, you lose a lot of that braveness that you had to pick up all that work you decided to take on. So if there was a way to have both the brave soul and all the work come together and come out the other side intact, that'd be great. So I'd say just stay brave. Not be brave, stay brave, because I was brave and it was taken off me by the hardships of ballet. It's like it's a soldier thing. It's a military formation, and they break you.
So I guess take more risks.
Yeah,
Is that would be
it
the,
was
that,
too
was that, was that
dangerous.
is that the takeaway?
Take more risks.
Take more risks.
Yeah. And grab those opportunities that just were going. I had opportunities that came by me, eye-watering stuff. I let them go.
Yeah.
I know. I made the decision. I knew what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
It was a calculated decision at the time, each one.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I was frisked by Quincy Jones, for God's sake. If that ain't an opportunity, what is?
Wow. Yeah.
No, but in all seriousness, there were movie directors. There were things, and I just went, no, I'm the principal of the Moulin Rouge.
Did you find throughout your career that sexual harassment was a problem at all? And how did you deal with that?
Well, I might have an answer that's going to surprise you very much, because that one thing that I just mentioned was the only thing.
Okay.
Yeah. I had an entire career as a topless dancer in a cabaret in Montmartre in Paris with nothing but respect from all of my colleagues in those terms.
Yep.
Especially from the direction, who were all straight Italian males, including my husband. So,
Do you think having your husband around affected that?
no,
No?
we were respected.
And did you find that the other women that you worked with
Same.
had a similar experience?
Yeah, I would defy anyone to say that they were sexually harassed at all in that type of work, in Paris especially. We were put on a pedestal. We were the women of Paris. We brought thousands, 2,000 people every night. I've worked for 7 million people.
Yeah.
In that space of time, and then after, whatever.
The relationships with all of the crew and cast were very important.
Beautiful, yeah.
To the enjoyment of the whole experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who's there for the right reasons. And goodness, it would take a nanosecond for any one girl to figure out if there was one person there for the wrong reasons. Whew. You know, we used to have documentaries come in, film people, photography people, all the time. And they were very much a thorn in our sides, you know, we didn't like it at all. But we'd have to do it, you know, for the sake of the promo and everything. And sometimes, a lot of the time, we'd do it for art, because a lot of photographers would come in for art. And I was photographed by Herb Ritz with Naomi Campbell. And he's the guy that did all Michael Jackson's video clips.
Oh, wow.
And Tina Turner's video clips.
Yep.
You know, the sepia video clips?
Yep.
Of which were Janet Jackson, all those ones that you know. That was him. And he came in with a crew of 12 assistants for him.
12?
12 assistants for him. And once again, this was our home.
Yeah.
Naomi comes in, she's a little cocky young one, but she just was like fitting in with us, you know. We sat on the floor, all naked, and we played rummy, and we waited for Herb, and we sort of welcomed people in. But we had to wait for that awkward bit to go over, you know, where we were like welcoming and okay with their presence in our very private areas. And then everyone thought they were reinventing the wheel, you know, oh, I'm going to capture the soul of the backstage. And we'd be like, yeah, go on. Where do you want me to put the blush brush? Right here? I've never done this before. Yeah, sure, that was really candid, you know. And they come away going, backstage, like you've never seen it before. Yeah, okay. But it was our area, and that's why that particular thing, and I don't like to mention that little story, but that was very, very bad for us. Very bad for me to put my faith in a man who was my idol, who I'd grown up with, knowing that he did Michael Jackson's work, and to meet him, and he was there in my backstage area, he was my guest, and he abused of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that hurt. And it didn't happen very much, but...
After an event like that, does it affect how you approach or let people approach you?
I try not to, because my whole brand is based on being approachable.
Okay.
Yeah. This is not necessarily anything to do with being a showgirl or being at the Moulin Rouge or any of those things, or being in a rock band. No, it's just me. It's the way I ended up branding myself, I guess, into this niche that is mine. And I've been told this by men. They say you're really approachable. And I've had that come from multiple sides, you know. So I thought, well, that's obviously got something to do with my success in what I do, because everything about me that I do is exclusive and distancing. And there's no way you're approaching me. Ain't happening. Especially if I'm on stage not wearing much.
Yeah.
So that fourth wall is up, baby. You're not getting past it. And there's security and there's everything for that. But to hear that I'm approachable is really nice.
Yeah.
And so I've invested heavily in that, and it's still really difficult for me to break the fourth wall and go amongst people. And I have to keep reminding myself that I am the female authority at that point in time, like I did with Mr. Howard. And then they buy it. You know, if you're selling that out, people will buy that. But if then that's just one form of branding. A lot of people do it differently.
Yep.
And that's the way I do it. So I remain approachable, but I'm still fully in control.
Would you say that you are an extrovert or an introvert?
I'm an introvert.
Ah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So many performers that I've spoken to are or would look at themselves and say, I'm an introvert. And you would almost expect the exact opposite of that.
So what's the opposite of a voyeur?
Well, I really don't know. You were saying exhibitionist.
An exhibitionist.
Exhibitionist.
I believe I'm an exhibitionist,
Okay.
which doesn't make me an extrovert. I'm an introverted exhibitionist.
How would you define an exhibitionist?
I like to be looked at by voyeurs.
Oh, okay. So voyeur, you like to look at. Exhibitionist, you like to be looked.
Yeah.
Like to be looked.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like to be observed.
Okay.
You don't have to get kinky or anything here. Like it's
No.
it's just a state of being.
Which obviously
So
comes
I'm an
back to the
introvert.
wearing the costumes
Yeah.
and look at me, I've got this.
Yeah.
Do you think putting the costumes on is a little bit of a mask?
Absolutely. That's exactly what it is.
So in the Moulin Rouge, it's an interesting concept because you're revealing yourself,
Entirely.
but you're also wearing a mask.
Yeah, that's right. And
So
it's
it's
freedom. You
so
have
it's
permission to do anything.
Ah.
And
so
you get to be a woman.
So putting a costume on is a way of...
It's armor.
So
It's a battle.
So would you say that putting a costume on is about playing a character, or is it about being more you?
Being more you.
Okay.
You get to be you. And that's the beauty of these places. And that's why we need to uphold them forever, because there's a whole bunch of women who want to be themselves but cannot, because it involves being viewed, enjoying yourself being viewed, you know, all these things. I don't spend a ton of time engaging with the audience. It's all my enjoyment for myself.
Oh, okay.
They always used to say in ballet and stuff, you know, look at the audience, you know, look at the balcony. I teach this stuff now. You don't look at the balcony, you just enjoy yourself. Because what's a more pleasurable thing for anyone to watch than someone enjoying themselves?
Very true.
It's the most beautiful thing to watch. And I find it a little difficult now because I'm in really close range with people. I'm walking through audiences now. It's a new style, a new technique for me. But I can feel someone looking at me. My natural reaction is sort of to check them out in case, whatever, who's looking at me. Maybe engage with them, say hi, like in my way. But I struggle, but I don't allow myself to look directly at them. Because what do? They look away. And I don't want that.
Okay.
If I look at someone, they're usually not strong enough to continue.
hold the gaze.
To hold a gaze. They'll look away. So I just allow people to look at me.
Oh.
It's a skill set.
It's
easy.
It's an interesting way of looking at it. Wow. Well, I've got to say, it's been a wonderful, marvellous pleasure talking with you.
Crazy
Maybe
fun.
we'll do this again.
Did we get through enough stuff?
Oh man, there's so much stuff, but we've got to leave some space for a future episode.
Do you think the young people of the world will take away something of our conversations
Hopefully.
about the work and the
I learned
craft?
some stuff, so that's good.
Yeah, we've never done this. Let's face it.
No, not.
We're either together working on some project, but we're not having small chit-chat about our lives in the past.
No.
Now, I need to interview you because I want to find out about you.
Oh. Secrets.
Aren't they great? No one's got secrets anymore. It's all just open out like a gaping wound. You must know everything about me. Boring. Where's the mystery?
Well, thank you very much, Marissa. It's been lovely. And ladies and gentlemen, I will put links down below where you can go and observe all of Marissa's projects that she's up to.
That YouTube channel.
Yes, and the new show.
The new show.
The new show. We'll
Cat's
be looking
out of the
out for that.
bag.
Thanks for everyone for watching, and hopefully we'll see you again in the next podcast.
Thanks, guys.